Good day. I am Dr. Andrea Cristina Baliton Veligano. I am a practicing obstetrician gynecologist, and today we will be discussing about family planning methods. So this is my topic outline. We will be discussing about a portion about the McWheel, and then natural family planning method, followed by hormonal and non-hormonal methods, and the surgical sterilization. So for a start, when you talk about family planning, the WHO was able to come up with this WHO McWheel. It is in its fifth edition was launched in 2015. It's one of WHO's evidence-based guideline. It guides family planning providers in recommending a safe and effective contraception method for women with medical conditions especially or in cases of medically relevant characteristics. So this will come handy for you when you start counseling your patients into different family planning methods that we can offer them because it is not a box type. It's not true to all. So you have to pattern, you have to determine what family planning method is best for your patients because some would cause a harmful effect to your patients, not applicable for a certain medical condition. Okay, so this is how your McWheel would look like. No, you have to enter all. If it is an app, there is also a they handed out by the Population Commission the McWheel. But then it will come. They have also the WHO has launched an application which you can easily download and you can enter all the datas being required by the McWheel and then it will give you results after. So it will either give you a score of 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 being used method in any circumstance, or if they give you a number 2, generally use the method, advantages outweighs the risk. Number 3, usually not recommended unless more appropriate method are not available in your locality. Or number 4, method not to be used when condition represents an unacceptable risk. So this is how it would look like in the McWheel. All right. So in the application, the when you download it in your gadgets. So you have to enter everything, the informations, you have to include the age, okay, and then other information like if your patients have headache, liver disease, if your patient is smoking, your patient's obese, and then after entering all the data, you will get all these results, and the application will generate a result like this. So if your patient has hypertension, a copper IUD is highly recommended for your patient. You may also use Progestine. You may also use implants. Okay, so that's basically how it functions and it will come handy for you if sometimes you are not very well versed, no, hindi mo memorize, then you can use the McWheel handy lang siya for you. Okay, so let's talk about perfect use. You will come across this when you talk about family planning methods, how well a specific form of birth control will prevent pregnancy. So the keyword here, if the method is used correctly every single time. That is what we refer to as perfect use. Okay, with the typical use, how effective a birth control no is used well typically. No, so human factor ito. Ginagamit pa siya maayos ng isang individual. No, is an individual following how it should be used or paano niya siya typically ginagamit. So, human factor ito. Malaking factor yung mismong gumagamit ng method. Okay? So let's start off with the natural family planning methods that we can offer our patients. So by the way, our law in the Philippines, the Population Commission mandates no, that we offer every kind of family planning method. We discuss it with the patient, with the couple, what they prefer and what is best for them. We do not give them no, I only like IUD. So this is the one I will offer you every time you come to me. If you like other things, then you go to another doctor. That's not the case. You have to know all these things so that you will be able to explain it well to your patients and let your patients decide which one they will choose. Okay, so let's start off with the family-based planning methods. We have calendar, we have the standard days, we have the basal body temperature, we have the cervical mucus methods or Billings ovulation method. We also have symptothermal method. We have the 2-day method. We also have the saliva, not very popular anymore, no? And then the lactation amenorrhea, still of use to some of our patients. Okay, so with the fertility-based awareness method, so they have to pay attention to body temperature, cervical mucus discharge, regularity of the menses. These are very important. Okay, so with the calendar, okay, you have to track your if the couple would like to use this. Okay, so you have to track your cycle for at least 6 months because you have to identify your shortest and your longest recorded cycle because you have to compute this one. For the shortest, you have to deduct 18. Okay, so the result of that will be the start of the fertile period of the patient. And then the longest cycle recorded, you have to deduct 11 so that the result of which will be the end of the fertile period. Okay, this is not very reliable, no? Not very reliable because especially for patients who have no regular monthly menses. Wala silang regular monthly, not recommended for them. Okay, so especially if the cycles are different, no? Iba-iba ang cycle niya. The cycle are uh, in the 6 months, dapat hindi less than 27 days. Okay? Hindi less than 27 days yung kanyang cycle. Alright? And then, if with respect to typical use, the failure rate of which is 25%. The chances of you getting pregnant is 25% if used incorrectly. Okay? So this you will advise your patient track the shortest minus 18, the longest minus 11. That will be the period wherein they should abstain from sexual contact because the patient is fertile on these days. For the standard days method, you abstain from vaginal intercourse from menstrual days 8 to 19. No? For those women naman who have 26 to 32 days cycle. Okay, with typical use, okay, the standard days method has a first year pregnancy rate of less than 5%. Okay, it is effective again for women who have regular menstrual cycle, wherein their cycles are between 26 to 32 days. Okay, so the contraindication for this, of course, if you just had your pregnancy, okay, if you're breastfeeding, because most likely you will not have menses yet. So how will you monitor? How else would you be able to monitor if you're still breastfeeding, you just had your pregnancy, your cycle, your menses would have not commenced yet, no? So not recommended for them. Okay? So it does not protect you also from sexually transmitted infection. No? So not for those who are promiscuous, medyo maraming different partners. As a mode of family planning method or preventing from getting pregnant, you cannot recommend this to help them. Does not protect them. No protection for sexually transmitted infection, save for if you will use the barrier kind method, which we will discuss later in the next few slides. Now we have cervical mucus method or the Billings ovulation method. So fertile days is characterized by wetness, clear, slippery, stretchy mucus. If you're able to observe this, you are fertile. The woman is fertile. In non-fertile days, this is characterized by no discharge, no, or the discharge could either be pasty, non-stretchy mucus noted. So you have to take note of this. If you like to use this method, then you have to always check no, the kind of discharge that you're having before engaging into a not unprotected sexual contact. Okay, so recommended for any reproductive age. But then with the symptothermal method, you have to be willing to take the chart, no, basal body temperature daily. So you have to condition your patient if they want this. Yeah, ma'am, sir, you will have to monitor the basal body temperature daily Okay, has the patient the diligence to chart her daily observations of cervical mucus? Okay, record all the results and then abstinence. Willing to abstain during the fertile period. This is where the difficult part is because some patients, some couple are not able to comply with this. Hence, the failure rate of these methods, these natural family planning methods, is very high if they're not able to um, comply with any of this. Okay, so a couple can avoid, no, uh, a couple can avoid unprotected sex between the first day of a woman's bleeding, monthly bleeding, either on the fourth day of the first peak of the cervical mucus discharge. Okay, until the third full day after the rise of basal body temperature. Now, can your patient or can the couple do this? So if they cannot, then this is not the method for them. Okay, so the woman should refrain from vaginal intercourse when she senses cervical secretions until both the fourth day after the peak cervical secretions and the third full day after the rise in the basal body temperature. So pag on the point that when the body temperature rises, they have to wait 3 days. Sa loob ng 3 days na yon, okay, no sexual intercourse kung mataas yung basal body temperature, no, from the baseline, from the usual. Okay? So advise to use barrier methods in situations when intercourse cannot be avoided during the fertile period. No? Meron naman din silang option. No? If in case they're not able to abstain, then they will have to have a standby, no, barrier method to use in order not to get pregnant. Okay, so but then these methods, no, although quite difficult in terms of monitoring, in terms of regularity of the menses, this has no physical side effects. Wala masyadong walang complaint because it's natural, no? It's natural, no headache, no complaints of say discomfort or mood swings they say. So wala siyang side effects. So some patients would prefer this, no? Especially our country is a Catholic country na kind they're very against the artificial family planning methods that's being offered, no? So this one you can offer to your patients. Next one would be the lactation amenorrhea method. Now your patient will tell you, how come I got pregnant after 2 years of breastfeeding? I am lactate using lactation amenorrhea method. How come I got pregnant on the second year? Well, in fact, I am breastfeeding my baby. Okay, now they have to fulfill all these three in the list. No, sa mother's monthly menstrual cycle has not returned. No, hindi pa nag-return yung regla niya. If the menses have returned after 2 months, then you cannot use the lactation amenorrhea method. Okay, so another one would be the mother is fully or nearly fully breastfeeding her baby. Okay, so in this case, the baby is less than 6 months old. Why 6 months old? Beyond 6 months old, you start feeding your baby with solid foods. So you cannot fully say that you're fully breastfeeding your baby because your baby is now feeding with other kind of food, not mainly breast milk. Okay, so it could last you for at least 6 months, but in between the 6 months, no, in the third, fourth, or even in the first month, the menses had resumed, or you're not actually fully breastfeeding, you use supplementary feeding aside from breast milk, from your breast milk, then you cannot use lactation amenorrhea, no, as a form of family planning. Okay, so if any of the above, as this slide would emphasize, any of the three is not met, then you have to advise the client or your patient another form of family planning method. So let me emphasize also this one. Women with HIV, na very high CD4 count, not treated, unless they are treated or you are in a famine, no? Yung walang makain. Like places in Africa, mga ganon, yung mga walang where famine is very ano no, poverty is very high. So unless the patient is HIV mother is treated or mababa yung CD4 count, you can actually offer breastfeeding. But if not, with HIV, not treated, very high CD4 count, you cannot do breastfeeding. A mother who is untreated with TB disease or there's herpes simplex lesion on the breast because they might be able to transmit the agent, the causative agent, to her infant through the breastfeeding. Okay, so this is a good family planning. This is a good way of, as being recommended by our friendly pediatricians, breastfeeding talaga. But then if you are in this situation, then you cannot really recommend uh, this. Okay? So next would be barrier method. We have different barrier methods, but what is very popular in our country is just a condom. No, in some other countries, they use diaphragm, cervical cap, and even spermicides meron silang mga cream na gano'n na they use as spermicides. Okay. So the male condom efficacy is if it is perfect use 98%. No, why is it not 100%? There is no family planning that is 100% by the way. Even if it's ligation, the chance there's 1% chance of you getting pregnant even if you had your ligation. Okay, for typical use, again, human factor ito. No, what human factor like? You can just actually use one condom once lang. You cannot recycle. You have to store the condom properly. No, in a good temperature, hindi siya mapapuncture. Nilalagay sa bulsa, na yuyupi-yupi, baka nabutas na yan. Okay, so there is a 85% chance of you getting somebody pregnant if the condom is not handled properly. Okay? While the natural family planning method does not protect you from STI, the condom or the barrier methods indeed protects you from sexually transmitted infection. No, it is a best way for those who have, multiple sexual partners and don't want to get pregnant, then this is the best method for them because it will also protect them from STI. Okay, if used properly. All right. So the diaphragm in some first world countries, they use this. No, easy to use, absence of risk. Okay, it does not interfere with sexual pleasure because it's way inside, no, the diaphragm, and then no medical contraindication. Just show your patient has had a stroke, your patient had smoking or whatever. According to the McWheel, it's okay. You can you can use it. All right. So the disadvantages for this one, of course, would be it has to be demonstrated how to be inserted, and there has to be privacy in the insertion. But then, if you get used to it, then it would be very easy for you, no? Okay, so these are among the barrier methods, no? These are reversible. I would say after using it, it's reversible. And then next one, we will talk about hormonal methods. It would come in the form of oral contraceptives, injectable contraceptives, and of course, what is gaining popularity now is easy for us, especially Filipinos, are the implants. Okay, so the combined oral contraceptive pills, a daily birth control pill that contains estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so the estrogen contained is the ethinyl estradiol. The commonly used progesterone in the pills are norethindrone acetate, and levonorgestrel. Okay, its basic mode of action it's inhibit the mid-cycle surge of GnRH. By doing so, it suppresses the follicular phase. Okay, so the follicle maturation is inhibited. Okay, and then while the progesterone thickens the cervical mucus, providing a physical barrier for the sperm to enter. No, it cannot penetrate because the cervical mucus is thick. But then the combined oral contraceptive pills cannot be used to patients who had previous stroke. Okay, history of estrogen-dependent tumor, also breast cancer, active liver disease because they pass through the liver, no? So if your patient's liver disease, then it's not recommended for your patient. And if your patient is smoking more than 5 cigarettes per day, not recommended. Okay, or also if your patient are taking anticonvulsants or anti-TB drugs because it will decrease the effectivity of the pills. No, meron silang drug interaction. Or if your patient has hypertension, migraine with aura, you cannot give it to your patients. And also immediate postpartum women, combine oral contraceptive pills. You cannot give because it will decrease the milk production and the medic and the hormones being in the pills are not being digested by the baby, no, in the first six weeks at least. So it's not recommended, no, cannot give. So here, if your patient is postpartum breastfeeding, combine more than 6 months because it will decrease the milk production. If it is a progestin only pill, you can start anytime in all of this postpartum, partial breastfeeding, post abortion. Okay? So next would be amount of estrogen in the ethinyl estradiol in on all these pills being used in the market. The first generation ones they contain 50 microgram, but then they have tried to reduce up to in the third generation it's only 20 to 35 because they reduce it to the lowest level that is still effective in order to address the complaints of the women who are saying that they're having mood swings, they're having headache. So they have tried to reduce it over time to ethinyl estradiol containing pills as low as 20 to 35 microgram, which is still very effective in preventing pregnancy. While the progestin, we have the first up to the fourth generation. Take note of the fourth generation, the Spirinon and the Dinoges. These are pills also used in the market to address endometriosis. Okay, so that's being offered also to patients of endometriosis, aside from it being uh, birth control method. Okay, so clients should be advised. No, you tell them that it does not interrupt or disrupt an existing pregnancy. Halimbawa, your patient took pills already for a week and then suddenly she didn't know that she was pregnant and they go to you very worried, no, I knew I have just learned that I am pregnant but I have been taking pills for like 2 3 weeks or kahit 1 week lang, and the next question would be, will it affect my baby? No, it does not. No, so if that's why when you start any form of family planning method to your patient, you must ensure that your patient is not pregnant. Now, the first thing you should do is you check if your patient is pregnant. But then again, for some reason, some patients just start on their own and then they suddenly knew that they're pregnant. Then you tell them, reassure them that hindi naman siya. No, it does not disrupt or it will cause any congenital defect to your baby. Okay? No birth defect that will happen secondary to taking of pills. Wala talaga. Okay? So, most women does not actually gain weight. No, it is in the literature, it does not. Very, very small percentage blaming pills for making you gain weight. Okay, you tell your patient that. And then it does not affect mood or sex drive of a woman while they are on their pills. Wala siyang ano. So the pills again is not recommended for women who have venous thromboembolism. Okay, can be considered for healthy non-smoking. Okay, women and then younger than 35 years old with migraine, headaches, pero walang aura. You have to check that, huh? And then these are the example of combined oral contraceptive pills we find in the market. They come in different forms, but you just take note of the um, micrograms, no? The amount of hormones present in the pills. They come in different prices also. Okay, some you tell your patients, some they can get from their barangay health center, from their lying ins. It's given for free. Or if you want the more expensive ones, they can actually have an option buying those. Okay? So for the progestin only pills, we have different, no? Iba-iba. Meron yung injectable, meron yung iniinom, no, which is recommended. These ones are recommended for breastfeeding. And then there's the other one was the same, progestin pa rin, pero implanon. implant. No, I am personally using this, no, as my form of family planning method. I'm on my second implant already. So I'm using it for around almost 4 years already. Okay, so for breastfeeding women, it is recommended, or those with cardiovascular problems and who are smokers, no? Kasi yung estrogen lang na component of the combined can is not recommended for women who are smokers. Okay, we have to emphasize this to your patients. Continuous daily basis with no pill-free interval, preferably at the same time every day, mas strict itong progestin only, no? Like if your option would be the pill, no? Yung pill. So I you have to advise your patient that kailangan maybe they put an alarm, they bring it always with them, you place it in their, I tell my patients to you place it in your pouch where your lipsticks are, your makeups are, because you always bring them. So, and also some patients would say they use an alarm to remind them, no, or you choose a time that you would most likely remember. So for me personally, what I tell my patients is, maybe it depends on how their days are, no, but usually I tell them before bedtime or like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you would most likely be home. So you choose a time when you are least busy and you will most likely remember that you should be taking your pills. Okay? So it can be started anytime during the menstrual cycle. But if it is not started, no, if not started during the first day of menses, you have to use a backup method or abstain for at least 2 days. Okay, and then you tell them to take it same day, same time every day. So if you happen to miss a pill, take as soon as you remember and use a backup method or abstinence in the next 2 days. Okay? So, should not be taken with medications known to decrease its effectiveness, like TB drugs, as mentioned earlier. No? Antipsychotic drugs, they cannot take it together with it. Okay, what would be its effect? Your patients would ask. Then it might alter bleeding patterns. Your patient may have no menses or they would have spotting for more than 2 weeks. And it is common, and you should emphasize to your patients na it is not a reason for them to stop the pill because common yun. If you are into this kind of family planning, you will have no menses, you may not have menses, you may have regular menses, you may have times that you will be spotting for at least 2 weeks. That's normal. You will not be bleeding in the next 2 years. That's normal. Some patients will come to you for after a year. Stop this, remove this. I will not take this because I haven't had menses for a year already, and I'm afraid that, what they always think is that they will have yung dumi daw sa loob, hindi nalalabas. You have to tell them, you have to counsel them na ma'am, that's not the case. Because basically your lining of your endometrium is thin. There's nothing to shed off compared to if you are having your, regular mess using the standard method, the fertility-based method wherein the cycle is not disrupted, nothing's happening on the endometrium, it will go as naturally. So if you are using the hormonal method, it will disrupt the natural menstrual cycle. Hence, the lining is thin. Hence, there's nothing to shed off. And you tell your patient that because it's normal. Okay? So next. It is a preferred method. Again, if your patients are breastfeeding, okay, no adverse effect on the lactation, on the baby. Okay, maybe started on progestin only pill anytime within 4 weeks after giving birth. Now, after naman giving birth for at least 4 weeks. Kasi remember that the baby's liver cannot digest yet and it goes with the milk kasi. So they don't have enzymes to digest. So we give it like after 4 weeks muna. Okay? And then between 60 weeks and up to 6 months postpartum, as long as the menses has not yet returned. The other form I mentioned earlier is the implanon, the kind of progesterone, no? So implanon is a subdermal implant. It is a long-acting, reversible po ito. Once removed, the fertility returns to normal, no, returns immediately 42 hours after removal. Okay, it is a progestin only. Oh, effective for 3 years, no? So, it is flexible implant. So, ito rin magiging fear ng pasyente. Mumukha siyang kasing laki ng posporo. Alright? And then, it is flexible. So, their next fear would be, baka mabali. It will not. You tell your patients that, hindi po siya nababali, mami. No, even if you hit, even if it gets hit, it will not break because it's flexible, no? The material is flexible. And then it will not migrate. No, baka lumipat sa ibang parts ng arm ko. It will not. Okay, it will stay there. Where you inserted it, it will stay there. Okay, it releases at a rate of 60 to 70 micrograms per day on the 5 to 6 weeks, and then eventually gradually magde-decrease na siya. So 35 to 45, 30 to 40, hanggang 25 to 30 micrograms at the end of the third year. Kaya nga, ipapalitan mo siya, tatandaan mo kailan mo siya nilagay because it has to be replaced, no, after 3 years. Okay, so it is a single rod dermal implant. It inhibits ovulation the same way with others, no? So no ovulation will occur in the first 2 years. In the third year, it may happen. So that's why immediately after 3 years, it has to be replaced. Rarely lang naman on the third year, no? Especially for those patients who are obese. No, naglalas yung effectivity ng implant, nare-reduce ang number of years if the patients are obese. So it thickens the cervical mucus just like the pills and makes it impenetrable to the sperm. Okay, so what are the side effects? Again, menstrual pattern altered. Some would say there's headache, they would have weight gain, they say they have acne, and then sometimes with the breast pain, emotional liability, and some would say abdominal pain. Pero itong lahat ng ito, we can do something about it. If there's headache, if it's not very severe naman, maybe you can give them pain relievers. The weight gain, it's debatable. No, some patients are really they like to eat. So sometimes you just blame it to the whatever they're taking as whatever is being implanted. No, sa acne, we can do something about it as well. Okay, so you have to, before actually moving it, you have to talk to your patient na try to talk them out of having it removed because baka naman pwede siyang remedyohan yung mga complaints nila. And then you come back to me, ma'am, sir, if your patient still feels that or if you still feel that, and if it's non-negotiable, there's nothing you can, then that's the time you remove and replace it. I always ask my patients, what is your replacement? Because the moment I remove this, your chances of being pregnant returns immediately. No, isa dalawang araw lang pwede ka na mabuntis ulit. Okay, so it has to be replaced, or maybe you want to get pregnant. Now, then there's no argument about it. Then you can have it removed because the fertility after discontinuing this returns soonest, immediately, 42 hours. Okay, 42 to 70 2 hours. Okay, so using the implant, the typical use is 99.9% kasi nalagay mo na siya doon, walang human factor yon. No, walang human factor, andun na siya eh. Wala kang tatandaan, tatandaan mo lang if it's already 3 years, when is the time for you to replace it. So while it's still there, 99.95% gives you 99.95% um, you from getting pregnant. Okay, hindi ka mabubuntis, 99.95% of the time. So you can insert this within the first 5 days of the menstrual cycle, within the first 5 days, or as long as the provider is sure that your patient is not pregnant. So you always have to check, no? Meron pregnancy test ka talaga. Immediately postpartum, you can insert. So this one is very popular especially in big institutions, yung mga public hospitals. They have it readily. The family planning um, department always have this, and then they counsel the patients. They offer this, the IUD and the implant. Okay? So, progestin implants must be inserted by a trained individual. Hindi pwedeng kahit sino. You have to be trained in inserting this because there are structures that you have to be mindful of in order for you to, you know, insert it successfully and there would be no complications. Okay, maybe remove anytime with fertility returning as early as 42 hours after removal. So you tell your patients that. Or this is suitable for adolescent. Okay siya gamitin sa adolescent. The next one would be the Depo-Provera. Okay, it contains 100 milligram, 150 milligram given IM. Okay, or sub-Q. It protects you from being pregnant for 3 months. Okay, can either be anterior thigh or abdominal wall. Pwede naman. Sub-Q. So the same, suppresses FSH and LH levels, prevent the surge, and thickens the cervical mucus, preventing you from being pregnant. Okay, it will alter the endometrium kasi. No? All right. So, next would be the same lang din sa implant. Altered menstrual bleeding, bleeding changes, weight changes, mood changes, they would tell you that they have headache, you know. And then, one here, it is, if you look at the book, wala namang established na nakaka-decrease daw siya ng bone mineral density. No? But then, well, we always recommend naman to our patients that meron tayo dapat actually daily intake of calcium, especially the women, no? Kasi our bones must be strong kasi meron tayong, especially during menopause, no? Papuntang menopause, nagde-decrease na yung estrogen level. And the other way around will be happening, bone demineralization. So, warrants naman din for your patients to take vitamin D. But DMPA and bone mineral density decrease, hindi masyadong mataas yung um, na blaming the MPA for having decreased bone mineral density. But it's worth telling your patients to take vitamin D as a daily supplement. Okay? So, it reduces risk of iron deficiency kasi hindi ka nagre-regla eh. No? Hindi nagre-regla. So, you losing blood over every cycle would be lesser. Okay, and reduces the risk of endometrial cancer. This is actually being recommended for patients who have hyperplasia, no? Abnormal menses, and then after endometrial sampling, merong endometrial cancer or hyperplasia pa lang, no? Nag-change pa yung cells, then we can give our patients this and we do the sampling again after 6 months. And we see that the reversal, no, return to normal of the endometrial lining is evident, no, after some time of using DMPA. Okay, reduces incidence of primary dysmenorrhea kasi hindi ka nga nagre-regla eh. So walang dysmenorrhea ang mangyayari. Endometriosis, nadi-decrease din kasi hindi na nagre-regla. Okay, ovulation pain kasi hindi ka nag-ovulate. And then functional ovarian cysts in the form, kagaya ng endometriosis, hindi ka nga nagre-regla eh. So wala yung mga ganon. So this is very uh, advisable, no, for patients na merong mga ganitong problema, no, to give them DMPA. All right. So 6 weeks postpartum, that's when you start your DMPA. 3 weeks postpartum, non or partial breastfeeding. Okay, between 6 weeks to 6 months, fully breastfeeding and with lactation amenorrhea you can give. Okay, immediately post-abortion or up to 14 days, no? Kasi by the end of 14 days, mag-ovulate, you know, baka you give it beyond 14 days or on the 14th day, tapos babalik sa'yo ang patient, bakit ako nabuntis? Eh kasi binigay mo siya, probably your patient have been, have had sexual contact. Remember that the lifespan of the sperm is 3 days, no? So baka prior to that, nag-sexual contact siya, tapos na may nabuo, tapos after that, you gave the DMPA, i-blame ka, bakit ako nabuntis? So better to give it before 14 days. Okay, anytime during the cycle, as long as you know that your patient is not pregnant, but then you have to have backup method. Binigay mo siya anytime, day 18. Nagpa-inject talaga siya dahil that's the only time that she has. Okay, give it. But then, 7 days. Backup method. What's backup method? You use condom or you abstain in the next 7 days para sure tayo na nag-take effect na yung gamot, yung MPA, and then that's the time you have safe sexual contact na walang protection. Okay, absolute contraindication are pregnancy, hindi pwede, of course, on those with active breast cancer. Okay, so recommendation, most common side effect, unscheduled bleeding. Yun lang talaga, basic siya sa patients who are into the MPA. It can be used without restriction, no? Among women ages 18 to 45 years old. Okay, so maganda siya. It is reversible. It is long-acting kind, but reversible. No, the moment you discontinue its use, pwede na naman ulit mabuntis. But this one, compared to the implant or the pills, the DMPA, your fertility will return quite late, no? According to the literatures, as long as ano siya eh, one 1 year to 2 years bago mag-return to normal. Your chances of getting pregnant will, kasi nga nasa system siya, nasa body mo siya, and then it will take a while before all of the hormones are being consumed by the body. So for the DMPA, if your patients are using this and they want to get pregnant very soon, you stop it earlier from the time that they wanted to actually get pregnant, no? Kasi medyo matagal bumalik yung fertility ng patients who are on the MPA compared to the implant and the pills. Okay, so that's one thing you have to take note also. So now we talk to another kind, no? Yung long-term reversible, no? I would say this is a considered a barrier method also. Okay, we have the copper IUD and we have the levonorgestrel containing IUD. Okay, so iba-iba siya. It is small, flexible, it's T-shaped, but in the past, they used to have the S-shape, no? The Lippis loop. If you look at your books in Williams, it's still there. They mention about Lippis loop, but it's not used anymore. Noon-noon yon sa mga lola natin. Now, what we have is the T-shape only. It's either copper, no, or the levonorgestrel, yung Mirena, no, levonorgestrel containing intrauterine system. So the copper IUD would last for 10 to 12 years. And then as long as it is in place, no, maayos ang pagkakalagay. And then while the Mirena is 5 years, no, why is there copper iodine? Why is there Mirena? They both function the same, but the Mirena is has a medication. It's quite expensive. It is used to address mga abnormal uterine bleeding pertaining to the endometrium. Okay, its mechanism of action produces local inflammation. It is gives a hostile to the sperm, and no ovulation will occur. No, in if you are using this for the copper IUD, it the affects the function or viability of the gametes, preventing the ovulation. Okay, and then the cervical mucus will be thickened. So the Mirena, the other one is in still the same, impedes the sperm, but the main effect of this is to also address endometrial problems, no? So, medyo expensive. Nowadays, it's around 10, 12, 15,000 already in the market. Okay? So, you can do with copper IUD. Okay? It can be inserted anytime during menstrual bleeding, 1 to 7 days, because you are sure at this time that your patient is not pregnant. Or it can be given anytime provided that your patient is not pregnant. You have to be sure. Or immediately after an abortion, okay, provided that it is not septic kind. Okay, so it can be inserted 48 hours after birth, given that the hindi PROM, pre-labor, premature, pre-labor rupture of membranes, hindi PROM yung pasyente mo, walang infection, you can insert it right after giving birth. Pero pag PROM, not recommended, no? Kasi magkakaroon ng infection. After CS delivery, again, provided that hindi PROM. And then 4 weeks postpartum, and then after shifting from another method, provided that the previous method was used properly. Okay, so heavy menstrual bleeding dysmenorrhea are likely with IUD use, no? Magkakaroon ng dysmenorrhea bleeding kasi nga inflame, mga ganon, no? So medyo nagko-complain yung patients ng mga ganito. Okay, so you have to orient your patient that it can happen. Pwede baka we can address it with certain medications, pero if they are not able to tolerate it, it can be a reason for them to shift to another kind of family planning. Hindi sila naging hiyang doon. Okay, so symptoms of uterine perforation, you tell them if there's pain, persistent pain, okay, may fever na, may infection na, you have to come back because we have to check if it is placed properly, baka nag-perforate, we have to remove. It has to be addressed. Okay, in an intrauterine pregnancy with merong IUD, no, na displaced tapos nabuntis yung patient. If the string is present, we can have it removed, but you have to counsel your patients that miscarriage, no? Pwedeng magka-miscarriage. Or we can leave it there, no? If no, with or without string. You just can leave it there and then you just tell your patient of the risk of possible abortion. Or it can just, stay there and not affect the pregnancy. Hindi na natin siya gagalawin. Okay, so no evidence of delay in the return to fertility. Okay, it may be used in any patients within the reproductive age. It can be used for those who are breastfeeding. Okay, and then for women na obese, this is recommended for them. No, kasi the chances of DVT, no, thromboembolism, it is the one that's recommended. If you use your MEC-wheel, and this one would be highly recommended for obese patients. Okay. And then the last one, levonorgestrel, effective for patients with heavy menstrual bleeding or with dysmenorrhea, yung Mirena, the one that's with Mirena. Okay, so reduces the risk of endometrial cancer. Okay, after 5 years of use, the lining of the endometrium returns to normal with the use of the Mirena. Okay, so contraindication, if your patient you think are pregnant, cannot. No, you cannot insert because you will cause abortion. Okay, that's why you have to make sure it's inserted within 7 days, or you have to make sure if your patient is not pregnant, or no active infection. Because if the moment you insert your IUD, you will accelerate the entrance of the will you will facilitate the entry of the infection in the upper reproductive tract by inserting your IUD. Okay, or if there is cervical cancer or suspected uterine cancer, you cannot. And then if there's bleeding with a known origin, you have to hold and investigate first before you insert. Now, the last one would be the sterilization. This is irreversible. It can be, they say, pag recanalization yung ginagawa. Pero the success rate is not very high. No? So, this is permanent as much as possible. Um, ito ay if your patient has reached, no, na-reach na yung desired family size, pwede na mo nang i-offer ito sa mga patient. Okay, the tubes are being cut or tied, cauterized, or tied and cut to make sure that there's no occurrence of the passage of the sperm and the towards the genital tract is being prevented, no? Hindi na siya dahil putol na. So blocks fertilization by cutting the fallopian tube. It is highly effective, but then again, there's 1% chance, no? I have had, no, in my practice, I have had probably 3 cases of which had sterilization and still they got pregnant. So they underwent cesarean section. So I was really curious. So I had to go in. I did the surgery myself. No, I did the cesarean section myself and had to see the tubes. They're actually cut. Yung putol talaga siya. But then, the patient still got pregnant. No, so there's 1% chance you tell your patient that so that they won't, come running to you and they will sue you for how come I got pregnant? You tell them there's no 100% family planning. Okay, so it prevents ovarian cancer based on literatures. The fimbria are precursors to ovarian cancer. So if your patient is already reached the 35 years old and above, you can actually do salpingectomy, remove the tubes entirely. It is a prophylactic method in preventing ovarian cancer. Okay, so it is not associated with decreased sexual pleasure or desire. Okay, post-sterilization, preferably 2 to 7 days post-delivery kasi at this time the uterus is still big. No, madali pa siyang i-access below the umbilicus, and you can get hold of the tube easier. No, but then you can also do the interval method, pero the incision would be on the above the symphysis pubis naman yon. And then if your patients are obese, then you will have technical difficulty if makapal yung fat, no? So better if postpartum kasi malaki pa nga. And then has no negative effects on the sexual performance. Okay, no scalpel approach with the vasectomy. We're not talking about vasectomy, no? You tell your, if the husband is willing, then it is less, no? Less painful. No, not painful at all. Not painful at all, and less hassle, no? Madali lang siyang gawin kasi andyan lang yung vas deferens. You just have to identify it and you just cut it. No scalpel nga eh, no? I was able to perform some of these before when I was in residency. No, we went to a tribal community and we offered this to them, and it was very easy actually. So I mean, we might actually offer this to the couple, no? Parati na lang babae ang nag-e-effort. Eh pwede namang yung husband, no? Yung husband na naman ang mag-undergo ng procedure. So this is very easy, less complicated, mabilis lang gawin. Okay, so recommendation, when your patient or the husband undergoes vasectomy, no sexual contact in the first 3 months. Okay, kung mag-sexual contact man, mag-barrier method, condom or abstain. Kasi nga, the lifespan of the sperm is 3 months. No, baka meron pang naiwan doon beyond the vas deferens. No? So after 3 months, they have to have semen analysis muna to be sure that there's no sperm anymore on the ejaculate, to for us to be sure na okay na, pwede na itong vasectomy as a mode of permanent family planning method dahil wala nang sperm doon nakita sa kanyang ejaculate. But within 3 months, hindi muna. Mag-abstain muna or mag-condom muna. Okay, so we have the Commission on Population in the Philippines. So it governs the population management programs. No, they provide us with the free family planning methods. They have various programs being launched in the country, all over the country, in order to address the population. So in the Republic Act number 63365, also known as the Population Act of the Philippines, enacted in 1971. Okay, it establishes the Population Commission and National Population Policy. So ito yung body, ito ang government institution that manages mga lahat-lahat ng program ng population control, and it goes beyond, actually it goes beyond the birth control methods. Marami silang program addressing the maternal morbidity as well, no? So yun ang ina-address ng Population Commission. So its goal, establish quantitative goals for population, the family planning program that respects religious beliefs, okay, understanding the effects of population growth on national welfare and family life, no? So meron tayong mga topics about it, like sa mga teens, no, mga special population. So it's a Population Commission's program sa kanila yon. At saka yung making family planning part of the broad education program. Okay, and then safe and effective family planning method that we can offer our patients or the families, the couple. Okay, so overall healthcare ang goal ng Population Commission. So that is, I think, the last of my slide. Thank you for your attention.